Om Ganana Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhisi Dasadanam Om Mahaganapataye Namaha. Mahavakya, often translated as great sentence. What makes a sentence great? This is a very interesting question. What makes a sentence big or great? Big sentence, great sentence. We can have so many local definitions. A great sentence is that which is talking about chocolate cake, because one is really fond of chocolate cake. A great sentence is that which says you have won the mega million lottery. Could be for some people. Great sentence, you have been selected for this very important job after the interview you gave. The Upanishad has its own definition of what this great sentence is, Mahavakya is. Because in all these acquisitions, the acquisitions of things that make one happy locally in this jagat, in this world, are not lasting. Because one is not in search of a job, one is in search of permanence. That's why in India, when somebody asks, when somebody tells, a proud mother will say to another friend, oh, my daughter, my son, whoever, my child has a job. And the other one will say, is it permanent? It's very clear. One is not, the job is just an excuse or a manifestation of the permanence that one is looking for. And in every marriage, the first marriage, the second marriage, the third marriage, the fourth marriage, the fifth marriage, this time it is forever. What about the other 4 times? No, let's not talk inauspicious things. It's the forever that one wants. It's not the job, it's not the cake we have to worry about. It's the ache that we have to worry about. The ache of thinking oneself to be a finite individual. An individual without some mooring, something connecting oneself to something grander than oneself. An individual that is adrift, unmoved, alienated from everything else, and clutching for something. And this clutching is a kind of a desperate measure, because one doesn't know how to be in that, discover that oneness that one really craves. So the Upanishad's definition of a Mahavakya, a great sentence, is that which puts an end once and for all. It puts an end to this yearning, to this ache, which is not fulfilled by the cake. Okay, yeah. And that is what is called Mahavakya. In Sanskrit, the definition of a Mahavakya is Jiveshwarayoho Aikya, Aikya Darshanam. That is the Mahavakya, that which shows, which reveals the oneness between the Jiva. Who is Jiva? The one who complains. Okay, let's not forget that here. Yeah, the human being who complains, that is the Jiva. And Ishvara. Who is Ishvara? The one who does not complain. That's all it is. So, from a complaining being, complaining about everything in the universe, starting with my own finitude, starting with all these limitations, starting with everything which is bothering me here, there, everywhere, I discover myself to be the fount of non complaint, a fount of, in fact, contentment. I discover myself to be a non demanding, appreciative, contented, and objective being. This is what one wants. This is what one wants. But one thinks one is going to get this through cake. I don't know how. You know, I really don't know how. And so, therefore, the sentence means it is in the form of a short sentence, but the Mahavakya really means that teaching which shows you that you are one with that which is limitless, that source which is limitless, which is whole, which is free, and which is ultimately the content of you. Oh, this is too much. How can I be Ishvara? How can I be God? I can't be God. You just said God is everything. God is all. What am I? Small. I am small, but God is all. God is the cause, you said. I am because of so many circumstances. God is God. I am odd. This is how one concludes. This is how one concludes. How can there be that oneness? What is this? Where is this God anyway? How can there even be a comparison, let alone a oneness? Cannot be. One is in a quandary about this. That's why it's very clear that this oneness, the discovery or the transmission of this oneness, the teaching of this oneness is not at the level of the apparent differences. It's not at the level of differences. The differences are there. They are very, very apparent. And if you start going around saying, I am God, this is, this is a troublesome development. Because the oneness is not at the direct level. The oneness is that which is operating more like an equation. When you say E is equal to mc squared, the Einstein's equation. Energy is equal to matter. How? For those who don't have a physics background, it doesn't matter. Okay. But, but if you want to understand this, you have to resolve. There is a lot of resolution of the differences. The underlying oneness is revealed by resolving the differences. Same thing that we do here in the sentence Tat Tvam Asi. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Everything. That oneness is latent, underlying the apparent differences. But we don't really think about, or we are not seeing in our analysis using the mind, in our attempt to categorize everything, we are not seeing that oneness. That's why it has to be revealed by the Shastra. That's why it has to be revealed and understood in a teaching situation. Otherwise, it's not possible to understand and enjoy this at all. And so, therefore, we have therefore, we have the Mahavakya, very succinct rendition of this. The Upanishad just says it in one sentence and goes away. That's why we need the lineage. We learn how to unfold this from our gurus who learnt it from their gurus, who learnt it from their gurus, all the way up to Ishvara, giving this knowledge in the form of the Adi Guru, the first Guru, Dakshinamurti, manifestation of Lord Shiva. This is what we say. Everything comes from Bhagavan. This knowledge also comes from Bhagavan. And so, what is this Mahavakya? What is these differences? See, the differences are nothing to talk about because they are painfully experienced every day. I know, I feel a sense of want. I know that. I know I am not whole. I know I am full of complexes. I know I am trying very hard but falling short in all areas. I know I am fallible. I know I am imperfect. I know all these things. I don't need you to come and tell me you are not God. I know that. I already know that. I'm very well aware of that. These are the apparent differences. But then when we unpack the word aham, I, it yields something else. I am. That's all it is. Aham, I am. And when I say I am, there is the assertion of my existence. There is an assertion. There is a this statement is an assertion of my existence. I am. And what kind of an existence is it? Is it an existence that has to be brought to light, or is it an existence that shines on its own? What do you think? Shani shines on its own. See, that is wonderful. Because I know I am. I don't have to ask the neighbor, do I exist? Can you please tell me if I'm here? You don't need to do that. Do I exist is not at all a question that one asks. I know I am. And this is where the Upanishad begins. The Upanishad builds upon this self-evident, self-effulgent reality called the I. The body becomes dispensable because the body is just a place, the body-mind complex is a place to articulate this I. A place where the I is experienced with regard to an upadhi, a particular name and form called so and so. So many feet tall, so many kilos in weight. This is the body, this is the mind. And this is what it is. So this is how the I side, so I is equal to Ishvara. So we are doing what is called Tvam Pada Vichara, an analysis into this I. And what is this I? If you say we have to look for the Sat. And what is that Sat? That which never resolves into anything else. That which is unchanging in all periods and that which is non-negatable. What do you mean non-negatable? I can negate myself at any time. I can say I am not. If you say I am not, what happens? You are just advertising and broadcasting your presence. That's all that is happening. It's like a child hiding behind the sofa and saying, don't look here, I'm not here. It's advertising its presence. Things come to light in two ways. Either it is known through a means of knowledge. In Sanskrit, we call it pramana siddha, or it reveals itself, svatas siddha. In this universe, there's only one thing, and one thing alone that reveals itself, which is you. Self-revealing I. That's the only thing. Everything else is dependent upon you to be revealed. The pot doesn't say, Ghataha aham, I am pot. It doesn't say that. You have to say, this is a pot. You have the privilege of bringing this whole universe to light. That's why all these sciences are unending. New species are discovered every single day. Those which live at the bottom of the ocean, deep sea creatures. There was in the National Geographic one special edition of deep sea creatures. And they looked so funny, really. Because if it's deep sea, there is no light there, hardly any light. They don't need eyes. But they had very, very interesting colors. One of them looked like a table lamp, like this, with a head that moved. And so it was very, very interesting to see all this. Knowledge never ends because the eye is busy revealing something or the other every single day. New geological discoveries. A piece of amber is found. Trapped in it is a strange creature about which we know nothing, but the whole thing is there. The whole skeletal system of this animal is preserved, intact. And studying that, we come to know of what kinds of prehistoric things were there. This is all Ishvara. This is all that intelligence in action. You can go 50,000 years back and analyze a skeleton. Find out even the cause of death by analyzing the skeleton. You can study the mummies in the mummified remains in the tombs of Egypt, the pyramids, etc. You can even say, what did they eat based on this DNA analysis? What did they eat? All this is all knowledge. And it's all dependent on you. Don't look around and say, but I'm not a geologist. No, you means the individual. It's all dependent on this I. Everything, the past, I reveal. The present, I reveal. And if there is anything future, that is to be revealed, like an asteroid is hurtling its way down and we have to do something. That also I reveal. And this I, the self-revealing I, is equated to the cause of the universe. Why? Because that I is seen as something that is unchanging and non-negatable. Because everything else we take away because it's not a direct correlation between I and Ishvara. So the I is resolved, the body goes away cognitively, okay? Body goes away, why? Because the body is finite. We don't take into account in this analysis anything that is finite. So the and changing. The body is changing as we speak. It is not taken into this analysis. The mind is changing as we speak. That is not taken into analysis. The ego is changing. That is not taken into analysis. So none of those, memory, forgetting, all these things are not taken into analysis. All that remains is that awareness, in that indelible awareness, an awareness that cannot be erased. This awareness is equated to Ishvara. So we have resolved the Tvam Pada here. Just understanding the I as that which remains after everything else impermanent is cancelled out cognitively. And the same thing we have to do on the Tat Pada. Tat Pada means Ishvara, Brahman. Same thing we do on the other side of the equation. Unpack the word Ishvara. What is this Ishvara? Oh, Karta, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. Tvameva Kevalam Kartasi. Tvameva Kevalam Dhartasi. Tvameva Kevalam Hartasi. You are the creator. Creator means there is Shakti involved. Shakti means the power, an infinite power, which is an as though power. The power is not a parallel reality to Bhagavan, to Ishvara. The power is an as though power which equips Brahman with the ability to create, to sustain, to take back. And it's not a linear thing. Now create the creation. Now, what is that? Sustenance. Now taking back. No, it's all happening simultaneously. And we see this in the universe. Sometimes twin babies are born. One dies, unfortunately, shortly after birth. Why? That's how it is. Karta, Harta is happening at the same time. Bhagavan in the form of Karta and Harta we see simultaneously. So it's not linear because space and time are part of this creation. They are not absolute, they are relative. They are part of the creation. They are not permanent. They are also finite. And so therefore, on Ishvara's side also, there is this Shakti, Apara Shakti, incomparable Shakti. We call her Maya because she equips Bhagavan with the ability to create. Oh, why only Ishvara has Maya? Why don't I also have Maya? You also have Maya. Oh, I have the ability to create? Yes, confusion. Okay, so no, misapprehension, confusion. You also have the ability to create. So the Maya expresses itself, the shadow side of Maya in the form of self-ignorance, expresses itself on the Jiva side, and on the Ishvara side, what we see is all knowledge. So what is Jiva? Ishvara with a complex. That's all. Ishvara with numerous complexes, we can say. That is all it is. So this all knowledge, all power, this as though power, and the ability to create, which is not a small thing, the ability to sustain the entire universe, the ability to resolve without a trace. And we see this. We don't know what happened to the Mayan civilization. Go to South America and they'll tell you everything just disappeared. And so even to this day, people don't know how it disappeared. If you say earthquake, there should at least be some skeletons. Nothing is there. Clean taking back, resolution. So these are all functions, name and form. Ishvara with the help of, understood with the help of name, form, function, power, all these things. You take away the accoutrements that make Ishvara the king of the universe. You take away the crown, the ability to create, the scepter, the crown, and a huge cloak, the cloak of knowledge and power. You take away. Knowledge means the knowledge to create, etc. You take that away. What is there? Awareness. That's all it is. Jiva is awareness plus ignorance. Ishvara is awareness minus ignorance. That's all it is. Ishvara is also that same awareness, that same consciousness that we call reality, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ananda means it is limitless. That's why it is extremely, extremely a cause for wanting. We want that. Extremely desirable. Very, very desirable. Because that limitlessness is Ananda alone. That is that happiness one craves. So the differences between Jiva and Ishvara are as though. The Sanskrit word for as though is mithya. That is all it is. As though. Meaning ultimately they don't matter because these changes and these kinds of iterations come and go. Oh, Ishvara comes and goes? No, Ishvara hood comes and goes. Because when you say creator, it is in relation to the creation, correct? And we know that the creation comes and goes. Cycles of creation based on the need for the jiva's karma to exhaust. Otherwise, jiva and Ishvara are one. When the jivas clamor for a place to dance out their karmas, then the creation comes forth. Because of that individuation, that desire of the jivas to be separate, to fulfill certain desires, to fulfill some wants. That's why we say the universe is created. As though created, as though sustained, as though taken back. And so here on Ishvara's side also, what do we see? Nothing other than all knowledge, existence, limitlessness. This is what it is. This is what the individual is. This is what Ishvara is. It's all. And then the separating factor, of course, is this Maya, which is not very well understood. It's almost like this Maya is a seamstress. And what does she do? She gives Ishvara a wonderful gown, a cloak, a wonderful cloak, bordered with galaxies, stars, planets, everything embroidered in gold lettering. You are the king of the universe, this cloak. And the jiva, not to be outdone, says, I also want a cloak. Let me take your measurements, says Maya. Because seamstress, she has to make it, custom made cloak. So tell me something about yourself, because I want to imagine this cloak properly. I'm always complaining. Okay, I'll note it down. I'm sad. Okay, next thing I have to note down. I don't love myself. Okay, what else can you tell me about yourself? Because this cloak has to represent you. I'm just, I'm always wanting. I don't like anybody else either. Yeah. I don't like myself either. Okay, come back in a month. Okay, I'll custom design this wonderful cloak for you, because based on your measurements and descriptions. What is your measurement? I don't know. I'm very small. And then finally the cloak is ready. It's just patchwork of different things, little bit of this, little bit of that. And then it is lined with a border of tears because of the custom made. I am sad. When are you sad? Always sad. I am complaining. Full of, and then the material is also very thorny and itchy. And this is what one, wears. Saying, I am Jiva, I am an idiot. Ishvara got a crown along with the cloak. It was thrown in for free. And then for the jiva, a big dunce cap. Go stand in the corner of the room until Vedanta gets inside the head. Dunce cap. Self. That is the self-identity. Based on that self-identity, this cloak is taken on and worn. And you tell the jiva, come on, this looks ridiculous. You look like a jester. And you take this off. The colors don't even match. It's a mishmash of all kinds of half-hearted things and desires and everything. Take it off. No, it's the only thing I have. Don't take it away from me. This is my only possession in the whole world. It's not true. Take it off. And you see that you are Satchidananda. Cognitively take it off. I'm not asking people to have an out-of-body experience, okay? Yeah. Cognitively remove it. Understand this. Understand that these complaints, this wantingness, this sense of lack, this sense of incompletion, this sense of this misery is all based on not knowing my glory. It's an as though superimposition upon this Satchidananda which you are. This Satchidananda is hiding behind this cloak of self-ignorance. and a morphing of this self-ignorance into all kinds of pains and sorrows. And same thing we do, we cognitively remove the glories of Ishvara. What is there is Satchidananda. Same thing it is. This is what we say Mahavakya, that which reveals the oneness. Oh, but how to remove Maya? You don't need to remove Maya. Maya is the veiling power as it expresses for the jiva. You don't, you unveil that. How? Through this teaching. Through exposing yourself to this teaching in a committed way, then this the ignorance wears out its welcome. That's what it does. It wears out, it wears out, it wears out, and therefore what we call self-knowledge, and some people call it what? Self-realization, and quote-unquote self-realization, enlightenment. It's not something that happens suddenly. It's not an event that happens to the self. It is more of a shedding of this tattered cloak. Little pieces that still stuck, remaining. Oh, those little pieces are chronic patterns, habitual orientations that I have to shed, 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 shed. That's why I say the name should be changed to Upanishad, that which makes me shed to all these things. That's why the Ganapati Upanishad says, Tvam sakshadatmasi nityam. You are nothing other than me. This is called soham bhava. Saha aham. That Bhagavan that I worship is the truth, is the content of me alone. It's not other than me. This is how the worship has to take place. From that place of oneness. Otherwise, one is stuck with the worshipper, worshipped duality. One is stuck. Then how to get out of this duality? The Upanishad continues. Ritam vachmi, satyam vachmi, avatvam mam. So this is now the Upanishad is going to become a little more practical, addressing the day-to-day experiences of the individual who is minted oneself as a devotee. And so what are these day-to-day experiences, and what are the ways in which I keep myself away from this oneness? What are the obstacles, the impediments to this oneness is talked about in this mantra. And so the first thing is Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi. Vachmi, I speak, I declare. This actually has this sentence, Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi, has two meanings. One is you can just take it plainly. I speak the truth. Satya Bhashanam, I speak the truth. And Ritam and Satyam are synonymous. So there is no need to repeat it. If you say Ritam Vachmi, it should be enough. But since they are appearing together, and since the Veda is free of the fallacy of Punar Ukti redundancy, then we have to look a little bit closer into what this Ritam is and what this Satyam is. Ritam means Ritam means truth. Satyam also means truth. But when they appear together, Satyam means speaking of truth, and Ritam means the living of that truth, because there is a little disconnect between the speaking and the living. Everybody knows, I have to tell the truth. I must tell the truth, but we don't know why this is a value that is there. In the tradition, why is truth speaking having this value? And Ritam here means the alignment between thought, speech, and deed, action. That is Ritam. Riju Bhava, Arjavam, it is called in the Bhagavad Gita. One of the values talked about in the 13th chapter, Arjavam. That is that thing. Because you can think something and you say something else and you act in a completely different way. There is an inner split. And here we go about complaining about the outer duality, which is so benign. It's the inner split between the knower and the doer. I know I'm not doing the correct thing. I know something else to be true, but I'm doing something else. That split, that is the dvaita that has to be healed. And in the healing of that duality, then with that oneness, we confront with, there is an inner oneness. And then when we confront the outer so-called duality, it's easy to see it as a superimposition on that Satchidananda, which is that consciousness, awareness, which is myself alone. That existent awareness, which is infinite, which is always free of limitations, that is myself alone. It is easy to see. But everything is upside down because we complain about the outer duality while nursing various inner dualities. And here I declare that I am, from this moment onwards, I am dedicated to the study of this oneness and the internalization of the message of oneness. And so what do? I bring my inner life in order. Let there be the inner oneness. Let this long-standing split between the speaker, the actor, and the thinker resolve once and for all. Ritam vachmi, satyam vachmi. Because otherwise there is between speech and action. Many people, we promise things. Yes, oh, you need that, I'll do that for you. And on the appointed day and time, what happens? It doesn't happen. One disappears or one makes an excuse. I said I would do this, but you understand, right? I have some other things to do. And so one thinks this is okay because this is life, this happens. But not according to the Veda, not according to a Vedika life, a Vedic life. There is no room for this. There is no room for dropping the ball. And you see this in the conversation between Nachiketa and his father. Nachiketa's father said in anger, because he was keeping on. Nachiketa's father was doing some kind of a ritual in the Kathopanishad. It was a giveaway ritual. Everything had to be given away. And the boy was there, small boy, 6, 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, and he was sleeping and in between and waking up in between. So then he saw some cows being given away that could barely stand. And the Upanishad describes these cows as the ones who had given all the milk that their karma had in them to give. The one who had eaten all the allotted grass that their karma had given. These old cows, unable to reproduce, unable to give milk, unable to do anything, plow the land, nothing. Here they were all doddering and they were being given away. And they were being given away after the good cows were being given away. And he didn't know that. He just hung on to the father's dhoti and said, I am much better than these cows. I can be of use. And you are doing this ritual to go to heaven. I can help you go to heaven. Who are you sending me to? Kasmai mam dasyasi. Who are you sending me to? Who are you going to give me to? One time it was cute. Second time it was a little less cute. Third time it was decidedly uncute. Because the father was busy. I am sending you to Lord Yama. Go to hell. This was the ancient way of saying go to hell. And the words in those days, the words were what were so important. And Nachiketa said, okay, I'm going. The father said, no, you're my baby. I didn't mean that. There is no room for not meaning that. The 8-year-old is telling the father. You look behind you. Behind you means not literally behind, all the people in the lineage behind you who came before you. Did anybody do this and say this and not do this? And the father says, no. You look at your contemporaries that you respect. Will anybody do this and not carry out their word? The father again says, no, hangs his head in shame. And that's how Nachiketa goes, little Nachiketa goes to Lord Yama because of a missaid thing. In fact, the given word is sacred. It's a promise that is never broken, even at the cost of one's life. This is what one has to do. And you look, see this, there is the one promise. The whole Ramayana is based on one promise. It's just fascinating. The whole Mahabharata text is also based on a series of promises. Arjuna comes with having one Draupadi in a Swayamvara. He marries her and comes. Wants to surprise the mother. Outside the house, he says, Mom, look at what I have brought. She's doing puja. She doesn't want to be disturbed. Mother Kunti says, whatever it is, I have always told you, share it with your brothers. And then a whole sabha, a meeting was called to find out how to do this sharing. We don't know who is great. We don't know if the mother is great for having done this utterance, or we don't know if the brothers are great for agreeing to this, or perhaps the greatest of all is Draupadi, who said, I'm going to keep the mother's word. And that is how one grows to receive this knowledge. More we'll see in the evening session. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaga Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.